down to Sugar Grove at 1023. And if this continues into Warren County, now there is no tornado warning for that, but with as fast as it's moving, it won't take long for it to be here, and that tornado warning may need to be extended. But if it were to continue, Greencastle at 1043, Bowling Green at about 1049, 1056 Plum Springs, and Hardcastle at 1104.
Yeah, and regardless of whether or not this maintains a tornado warning into Warren County, we're going to be dealing with some pretty strong winds here. But if you're in Butler County, you may be hearing the cows go off right now. And always remind folks that you do not rely strictly on the cows during tornado warnings. Some folks will be like, I didn't hear them. And you're not going to hear them if you're not close enough to them and if you're not outside. And I'm really hoping nobody's outside right now. But if you do live closer to them, you probably hear them going off. The big thing is you get the emergency alert right on your phone. And that's obviously one of the best ways to get your warnings. Also on a NOAA weather radio. So we're approaching 10 o'clock right now. We have a new tornado warning in effect. Silver City, be in your safe zone right now. Again, this isn't looking impressive on velocity here. I mean, this is just showing us the direction of the winds, and it's very broad. But this storm, even though it has kind of merged up with a squall line, it's had a history of producing tornadoes here, and you can still kind of see when you get that notch look there, that's indicating winds going in and winds wrapping around right here. So we probably have enough rotation in here to where there could be a funnel cloud. Maybe there is a tornado, but it's been radar indicated. That means that radar, as we are using radar right here, kind of indicates that we had a little bit of a notch. Now that kind of fell off in this latest scan, but don't think, oh, it went away. We don't have to worry about anything. This is one of the situations where, because the winds are moving so fast towards the southeast, you can certainly get quick spin-ups, and it's not even necessarily just in that area anymore. I mean, it could be further to the south. It could be anywhere, really, within that tornado warning polygon. But the new warning does not quite include Morgantown. But if you're in Morgantown, we've got the strong winds. They are certainly coming here. And we're talking about winds 40, 50 miles per hour. Davis, if you do get a chance, can you check out our power outage situation as well, so we can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at there? Because with these powerful winds, the more folks without power, the more likely these winds are doing some sort of damage. But if you're just tuning in right now and you're in Butler County, your phone's going off, giving you that tornado warning, it's because we do have a new tornado warning in effect. What we're looking at here is velocity, so showing you the winds in the atmosphere here. And we've had the history of a large violent tornado out in Hopkins County. Now the good news is at this point, because that storm merged with a squall line, it's not the same storm anymore. The storm kind of got eaten up, but there's still definitely some areas of rotation as this squall line moves your way. And so that's the reason why the tornado warning has been extended. That storm has had a history of producing tornadoes, and even though it's kind of meshed with another complex of storms, it can still certainly produce a tornado. So this is one of those tornado warnings where it's hard to pinpoint an exact area of a really good rotation. We had it before over there, kind of near Rochester, but definitely not looking as impressive here. But where you get those little, you get kind of like these bulges, and you get these dips in the line. And this again is showing the winds moving towards the radar site here, and where you get those dips and where you get some of those comma features, that's where you can get maybe some of that stronger rotation. So over there near Rochester, Silver City here, we do have the potential for a tornado-producing storm very, very close by. So if we go back to radar here, Davis, for a second, Doppler radar, I should say, looking at the actual reflectivity, you can see that, again, the storms are starting to make their way into Butler County here, where we do have the tornado warning in effect, and it actually still continues over parts of southern Muhlenberg County as the storm it's starting to exit Muhlenberg County, but we haven't been given the all clear just yet. So Silver City down to Quality over there towards Sugar Grove. And as Davis mentioned before, Warren County, we're not too far away from this. And even if the tornado warning does not hold, we're still likely looking at very, very strong winds as this cluster of storms moves on through. And you can actually see this area outside of the warning here, if you can kind of zoom the map down or move the map down a little bit, Davis, moving into Lewisburg, we're likely picking up some of those very strong winds as, again, you can see it right there. That's the leading edge of the storms here. That's like cold air. And it's even actually trying to spark up another thunderstorm. But with these storms, the general speed of them, you're not going to get too many additional storms to try to pop up ahead of the main line before they get absorbed here. So it's really just, we're dealing with some pretty significant winds here as these storms continue towards the southeast here. And it looks like when we see the flashing, we know that means there's an update on the tornado warning. So what's the latest on the Butler County tornado warning?
So they are continuing that until for another 12 minutes until 10:15. Capable of producing a tornado located 9 miles east of Dunmore, moving east at 55 miles an hour.
Okay, so we continue with that tornado warning, and the National Weather Service right now, they're doing some serious work, and they are really doing a good job of keeping us updated on these warnings. They're giving us frequent updates, which we can rely to you, the public, and kind of break things down. They're the ones who issue the warnings. We do not issue tornado warnings. But when they do issue them, obviously, we relay them to you. So we work with the National Weather Service all the time to understand a little bit more about how their system of issuing tornado warnings works. And when you know that and you see these warnings come up, it's an indication that we work together as a pretty good team, even though we're not all in the same building here. So we are, again, watching this tornado warned storm. This is for southern Butler County. Here is Logan County here. You've got that severe thunderstorm warning that continues for the next 30 minutes here. This line is continuing to expand more to the south here. So we're just past 10 o'clock, and the nastiest storms have not quite reached the Bowling Green, but they have certainly moved on in to the viewing area. And if you are, again, just south of Morgantown, even if you're in Morgantown, if you feel the need to be in your safe zone, in your tornado zone, not necessarily a bad idea. Whatever makes you feel really comfortable. And if that means you got a severe thunderstorm warning and I just want to go to my tornado safe spot because that's where I feel the best, then go there. There are really no rules when it comes to that. You just don't want to be by windows, or of course you don't want to be outside. So hopefully for any of us that are outside of any of these storms, we've got those electronic devices on charge. Maybe you have a flashlight that has good batteries just in case we do lose power. And speaking of that, have you found out anything about power outages?
I did, yeah. There is, across the area, it looks like mostly west of I-165 is where most of the power outages are that we're seeing. The problem with it, though, is because we had that initial line of storms earlier this morning, that ended up knocking out quite a bit of power, so it's a bit difficult to see which storm impacted when. But, I'll just read off a few numbers here. Logan County, just a little under 3,000 people without power, almost approaching half of Todd County without power. Christian County, about 5,700 people without power. Hopkins County, again, half of the people without power. One other thing I think is worth mentioning, David, I just checked the Kentucky Mesonet, and I believe that the storms are now really starting to ramp up even in those severe thunderstorm warnings. We had a recorded gust of 71 miles an hour, and that was located in Muhlenberg County.
Okay, 71 mile per hour winds. with the storm in Muhlenberg County. So yeah, that tells you the power of this storm. And we got the tornado warning again. I want you to focus in on this part of Butler County. If you're just tuning in right now, you're wondering about the 10 o'clock news. Well, this is it. We are covering the storms as they are moving through the area. Southern Butler County, we do have the tornado warning in effect. And this is the same storm that initially started all the way over into Caldwell County, continue through Hopkins County, Muhlenberg County, and is now still producing a tornado possible. You can see this started off as that supercell. It got eaten by the line of storms, but we still have some rotation in here, and the rotation may be shifting around, so we could have funnel clouds maybe dropping in different areas if we do have funnel clouds in there. Obviously, it's hard to get any good visual reports at this time of night here, but regardless, if you are in that tornado warning just south of Morgantown, you want to remain in your safe zone until the storm passes. All of us really need to be in a good, safe location over the next couple of hours just because of the intensity of these storms. So you can see we've got very heavy rainfall in Quality right now. Potentially the rotation right there. If we can really zoom in to this area of Butler County, there's Morgantown there. The storm will likely pass to your south here, so South Hill and over there towards Silver City. So into Leetown and Youngtown. Please be in your safe zone right now. We do have the tornado warning in effect. Potentially enough rotation here to prompt a tornado, to actually allow for a tornado to develop here. But those strong winds that are rushing out of these storms are definitely going to continue to allow for other discrete areas of rotation. But it does appear that we've got the strongest winds close to that tornado warning there in Butler County. But now we have another warning in effect for Todd County. So if you're in a Sharon Grove right now, this is north of Elkton. What's the latest on this one here?
So this is in effect until 10:30 p.m. So just for the next 21 minutes here, tornado was capable of producing a tornado was located about 5 miles north of Elkton, moving east at 30 miles an hour. And you know what, actually, let me switch this back over just to the standard radar, because I think that might be one of those independent storms, and it is, yeah.
Okay. So that's certainly what we are seeing here. Can you, let's really zoom into this. So Sharon Grove right now, please be in your safe zone. New tornado warning out in effect. Certainly have some rotation in here. When you see this like a kidney bean look, I mean, this that's probably not the best way to describe it, but when it has kind of that nudge there, that's where you have probably some of that rotation. And so around the community of Claymore, need to be in your safe zone here as this tornado warned storm has developed. And Davis, put it into motion for like the last 15 minutes or so. I kind of want to see the general motion of this.
I'm going to zoom out just a touch here so we can.
So yeah, you can kind of see how this originated from the south. It's going to get sucked into this main line here, but Sharon Grove need to be in your safe zone right now. We do have a tornado warning in effect for your part of Todd County. I mean, again, you're going to see how this is over the span of 15 minutes here, so it's going to look like it's like rapid fire here. But what's probably happened is that because of the cold air rushing out ahead of this main line, it's allowed this storm to briefly pop up. And there's enough rotation in there because the storm's trying to ride along the boundary. It's getting some rotation in there, and that's likely what we're dealing with. I mean, this storm will eventually be overtaken, but we do have a tornado warning in effect for northern Todd County. Sharon Grove, please be in your safe zone. Interior closet, bathroom, as many walls between you and the outside. No windows. You want to be away from windows. And if you have a basement, even better. Or if you just need to be at the lowest level of your home, that's going to be the safest place to be. So we do have this tornado warning in effect for northern Todd County. It appears we do have another severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and that actually does include Warren County, Simpson County, and also parts of Butler County. I want to get back in on that tornado warning in effect for Butler County. Of course, we're watching two now. We have one for Todd County, and we also have the other one in effect for Butler County. Sugar Grove, be in your safe zone right now. Storm is coming your way. We probably have some of that rotation in this general area right here. And I think that's what the National Weather Service is seeing, and I think that's the reason why they continue with that warning, that little bit of nudge, that little nudge that you were seeing on radar before on reflectivity, certainly an indication that we probably have some of that rotation. It's actually showing up a little bit better here on velocity. So between Sugar Grove and Silver City, the storm is just off to your east right now. Sugar Grove, please be in your safe zone. We could be looking at a very strong storm here and potentially a tornado, and we may be dealing with those severe wind gusts in excess of 60, even 70 miles per hour. So this, again, is south of Morgantown, heading over towards 165, and it's not looking too bad on the velocity scan here as we're looking for the greens and the reds kind of like dancing around each other, and that's what they're basically doing here. So as we continue to track this storm, it is moving pretty quickly here. We don't have the warning in effect for Warren County, but that could certainly be changing here. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect that was just issued for all of Warren County, but as we continue to get more scans on this tornado warned storm in Butler County, we'll get a better idea if a warning will likely be issued for Warren County. But you can see on the map here, 8:18, next 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes for you in Sugar Grove. Greencastle, if you're out in that area, we're giving you about a little over 10 minutes before the storm heads your way. Again, we just have a severe thunderstorm warning out here in Warren County. BG, Bowling Green, about 10:34. So we're looking at around the next 15 minutes. Now, the thing is, these storms are picking up speed, and you can, again, kind of see the comma feature here, and that's where you have really some of those strong violent winds. And again, looking at this little nudge here that has this little notch, I guess I should really say, that has showed up on a radar. That's pretty close to the Sugar Grove community right now. So please be in your safe zone here. This storm, it started as one lone supercell storm that actually had a tornado emergency on it, seems like a few hours ago now. But it merged with the main squall line that kind of overran it to the west and is now still holding together enough to produce a tornado warning. It's the squall line combined with still some of that rotation that we basically had from the initial tornado warning that is keeping the storm going here. So we definitely have a lot of shear in the atmosphere. And so Sugar Grove, please be in your safe zone. Again, Greencastle out there in the Warren County. Here we go. We got an expansion on the tornado warning. It does now include you in Greencastle. Our phones are going off here. And also into Bowling Green. So we are watching this area right here. We do have a tornado warning that is now in effect for eastern parts of Butler County and basically a good portion of a northwestern Warren County. This does include parts of Bowling Green, especially areas on the west side of Bowling Green. So we're watching this storm. It is about to cross over 165. It's had the history of producing a tornado, and just looking at how we're not getting really the best look on velocity here, but just looking at this right here, you can see this is likely where we do have a tornado about to approach the 165 corridor. So again, friends in Greencastle, get in your safe zone right now. Interior closets, away from windows, as many walls between you and the outside, lowest level. It's going to be your safest place to be. We are at 10:15 right now, so you've got a little bit of time here. You've got about 10 minutes in Greencastle, about 15 into Bowling Green, and I'll let you read off some of the details, Davis, about this latest warning that we do have in effect.
Yes, so we have, for the tornado warning that is now in effect for southeastern Butler County and northwestern Warren County, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Morgantown, moving southeast at 40 miles an hour. Again, we've got the times that are estimated as to the arrival for when it should be here. Now, keep in mind, do not wait until this time exactly. You want to be there in your shelter ahead of time, even with these strong winds that are pushing through. 10:16 at Woodbury right now. Rockland in about 4 minutes. Riverside 10:22. Greencastle 10:26. Richardsville 10:27. Bowling Green at 10:30. Moving into Plum Springs just after 10:30, and then if it holds together down into Polkville and Smiths Groves about 10:40 p.m.
So this storm right now is located near Woodbury and is now a little bit farther south of Morgantown. You can see along the 165 corridor here. So again, our friends out there in Rockland, Greencastle areas, a little bit northwest of Bowling Green. Those are the areas that are a little bit closer to the storm. You don't have as much time, but even here in Bowling Green, we got about 10, 15 minutes. So just get to your safe zone. If the kids are in bed, get them up, get them into your safe zone as well. Obviously, do this as calmly as possible. Sometimes kids actually can do better during tornado warnings if they have like their blankets and their pillows, and you kind of turn your tornado shelter into a nice place for them. I know before I left at my house, we had our little tornado area set up, and the pillows and blankets were already there, ready to go, just in case. And so it's always a good thing to keep in mind. Also have another tornado warning. This is actually kind of well outside of our area here. This is in northern Hardin County, so that's more over there towards the Louisville area. But let's get back down to the, we've got 2 tornado warnings right now, and I don't want to forget about this one out there in Todd County. We still have this tornado warning in effect for Todd County. It looks like the main line has probably taken this one over here, so we're dealing with some pretty strong winds. Davis, if you can potentially get our camera maybe in Russellville, and before you do that, though, can you pull back to this warning here just a little bit more
Sure.
into Warren County again? You can see the polygon. It does include places like Greencastle as well as Bowling Green. So we're watching really kind of this area right here. We're getting that notch. That's indicating winds kind of flowing into the storm here, getting that wraparound. So that's probably where we have the best rotation. But this comma feature, I talked about this morning. Anytime you see kind of like a comma look, and that's the general direction the storm's moving, that's where you have some fierce winds here. So we're likely starting to see some very strong winds out there into Russellville. There's a chance, Davis, though, our cameras might already actually be down. That's the unfortunate side effect that we face when the storms move on.
We do actually have it here.
Oh, yeah, no, this is great. Fantastic. So this is a look outside in Russellville. Starting to hear the thunder here at our studio, but this is in Russellville. You guys are not under a tornado warning. You're just dealing with the potential for winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour as the storms continue to move on into the area. So that's what we're looking at right now in Russellville. I just want to give you an idea of how strong these winds are. That is outside of the tornado warning. You guys just have a severe thunderstorm warning. But as we continue to hone in on this storm, we'll stay with radar for this area right now because the storm is getting closer to Bowling Green. So we still have some rotation. If you can flip back to velocity and make sure that we're using, I guess the Fort Campbell radar is going to be our best option here.
Yeah.
So right here, this area right here is where we probably have our best rotation indicated, just outside of Sugar Grove and over here into Greencastle. If you're in the Greencastle area, if you live around there, seek shelter. If you're in Bowling Green, of course, you can see, here's Bowling Green. If you're in Bowling Green, you have a little bit of time here, but these storms are starting to pick up speed here. And so this rotation will end up down closer to Bowling Green really within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So make sure you're in your safe spot right now in Greencastle. Hopefully nobody's deciding to travel up 165 because not only have the potential for a tornado nearby, we've just got blinding rain. We've got some pretty vivid lightning out there. And of course, we're also dealing with the potential for strong, damaging winds. So our latest warning, again, this covers portions of northern Warren County from Bowling Green all the way up into Greencastle and areas a little bit farther to the east, not quite under the warning, but that could certainly be changing. Again, this is a radar indicated tornado. This is part of a storm that once was producing a large tornado farther to the west, and then it kind of got merged with the squall line that continues to move on in, but we've got plenty of shear in the atmosphere, and we still have the potential for a tornado. Here's the Riverside community. So let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's keep getting some more towns here. So here's Sugar Grove. The storm's passing you to the south. So Rockland, Greencastle right here. You want to be in your safe zone. We've got some of the rotation right here, and that's normally where you're going to have the potential for your tornado. And this is starting to pick up some more speed, and you're likely dealing with some pretty strong winds over there towards the Rockland area right there. And so we still continue to see this rotation here just outside of the community of Rockland. So I urge you right now, remain in your safe zone if you're over there in Greencastle, the Barron River area as well. Got a lot of towns that kind of pop up here. Let's keep zooming in a little bit more. Let's see if we get any extra towns to pop up, because I don't want to miss anybody. Over there towards the Hadley area, that is just off of 165. Be in your safe zone right now. And of course, if we kind of extend farther to the south, eventually we'll start getting into the north end of Bowling Green here. So we still have a little bit of time. If you're in Bowling Green here, please be in your safe zone. I'm sure there are some folks that have actually been at the shelters maybe for the last couple of hours. I know folks just in the event of a tornado watch, the shelters are open and you can seek shelter there. We don't have really a whole lot of time left because these storms are starting to pick up speed. I'd advise you, if you're in a home, if you've got a good location where there is a storm shelter, or at least you have a basement or an interior closet, that's going to be the best place for you to be. Let's chat about this update on the warning right now.
Let's take a look here as it's coming in. They're going to continue that for Warren County until 10:45. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 9 miles northwest of Crestmore, and it's moving east at 45 miles an hour.
So over there into the Blue Level community of Bowling Green, just on the west side of town, also really northwest Bowling Green in general, we do have that tornado warning in effect. We've got some, it looks pretty broad, but again, we're scanning the storm a little bit higher here, so there's definitely rotation in there. So if you're in Greencastle, if you're in the Barron River community, and if you live close to 165 on the western side of Warren County, you want to be in your safe zone right now. Delafield, just outside of Bowling Green, and even Plum Springs, okay, you're not quite in the warning, but just be mindful that this storm is moving towards the southeast here. So if it still maintains that rotation, and the National Weather Service thinks that it's still producing that possible tornado, it's likely that the warning is going to be expanded further east of Bowling Green. Of course, this is getting us along Louisville Road here. Here is the city of Bowling Green. Most of the city is under that tornado warning, and just heard our phones go off before, so that's a good sign that the emergency system on our phones working pretty well for us. Now, you can see areas like Rich Pond, Memphis Junction. You're not quite under that tornado warning, but again, this storm is continuing to move on in. Let's flip back to reflectivity here. I like to go back and forth just because sometimes it's a little easier to use one product versus the other. I can tell you the winds are probably very strong right now over there into Greencastle and the Barron River community here. And that's just because this line is bulging out. Now, if you move a little bit to the north on the screen here, we could certainly still have some of that rotation again up here towards the Greencastle area. there's still a potential just because of the way the winds are flowing. We've got some rotation in there. So again, stay in that safe spot. The worst of the weather is moving into Greencastle as we speak. And even if it's not a tornado, we've got high winds here. We've got those winds that are kind of creating this bulge here, this comma, this lump basically on radar. That's an indication of some high winds moving faster than the rest. And so that's causing this area to just kind of like bulge out as it heads over towards the Greencastle area. So into Riverside right now, I mean, it's coming down at a pretty good rate. We've got some pretty intense rainfall, probably a little bit of hail in with these storms, but really it's going to be the wind and the potential for isolated tornadoes. So let's make sure we're also not missing anything out on this storm. In looks like that warning expired in Todd County,
which is good. I am looking. It looks like this is a delayed report. This was from just before 9 p.m. We did get a report in from the emergency manager out of Hopkins County of a tornado, about, let's see, damage to around 20 homes in the Charleston community north of Dawson Springs. So these storms, while that storm is, kind of now meshed in with this other storm that is starting to make its way off to the south and east, this is still, while it's mainly a wind threat, we can still have tornadoes for sure. In fact, actually, I do want to pull up the Russellville camera. We're starting to really see the flags in the downtown area really quite blustery, and lots of even some branches down in the...
Yeah, so you can see the flags they have up. I think they have extra flags for the Memorial Day weekend here. Yeah, it's certainly coming down as the strong winds move on into Russellville. Of course, we're watching that part of the storm. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning really for this entire area, but we are also obviously honed into this right here as we're getting another scan of this storm as it continues through Warren County. Going to really keep an eye on this for you because Bowling Green is in the warning and the storm is getting closer and closer here. But this, like Davis was saying, this same area of rotation actually produced a tornado near Dawson Springs. So this has had a history of producing tornadoes, but now that it's at a point where it's no longer a single storm here, we're getting some notches within the squall line, and that's where some of those areas of rotation are able to develop. So again, over here towards a Greencastle, we've got some of that rotation here coming up on 9:30 right now. So in a Greencastle, that's where we do have still some pretty strong rotation overall as the storm continues to move towards the southeast. It's likely we'll have maybe an update on a possible warning coming up here for other parts of Warren County, but we're really starting to feel the wind here. So let's get up that one of our Bowling Green cams, especially.
You know what?
Yeah, let's get to the one that you can actually turn and kind of face it a little bit more to the west and northwest. So we're trying to look out in the general vicinity of that storm. Of course, the tornado, the potential tornado, I should say, is still kind of up in this area, but we can maybe get a look out the side right now. So okay, that's looking towards the east here. So that's kind of looking more a little bit to the north. So let's kind of swing this around just a bit more. Well, I can't really swing it around that way. Got to turn it the other way. Regardless, I mean, we're probably not going to get the greatest view just because it is night mode here. But here's Russellville Road here, and you can kind of see the trees. Yeah, you can see the wind starting to really streak down Russellville Road. The winds are kind of blowing. This is blowing in from the west here, so this is blowing towards the northeast in that direction, and so this is kind of looking towards the southwest. And so you can see that right now, yeah, we're dealing with a bit of an impact from this storm as it moves into the area. We're likely dealing with those winds, possibly 60, 70 miles per hour, and we are under that tornado warning that continues in Bowling Green, but the area of more significant rotation is still a little bit farther to the north. So again, this is a live look outside. You can see the trees in the foreground there, a lot of lightning here. Let's get back to radar and get an idea of what we're still looking at, if there have been any additional warnings put out. But that clearly gives you a good shot as we look outside, kind of scan the skies, because there's no better look than just getting a live look at a radar. So here is the latest look. It looks like, yeah, we still have the tornado warning in effect for Bowling Green here. And
I'm going to clean this radar up just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little. So we still probably have this area of rotation around Greencastle, but there's also an area of rotation maybe developing just outside of the city of Bowling Green. So even though we had this area right here, potentially another area just north of the city, and we do have the warning that does continue here. That's just based on me eyeing radar here. If we let's go to the velocity again. Let's try to get an idea. Sometimes it's really hard when you're dealing with these lines of storms. Yeah, there could be a slight amount of rotation just outside the city of Bowling Green. I really think we're facing those strong, damaging winds on the order of 60 miles per hour, even a little bit stronger than that. But we are under the tornado warning, and that does continue until 10:45 here. So we potentially have a little area of rotation that we're watching around Bowling Green. Right now, of course, we're getting walloped by the winds as they are really howling through town. Again, just not the best look at velocity here, still detecting some of that rotation just outside of the Greencastle community here. But the entire Warren County, all of Warren County, much of Warren County is currently, all of Warren County, I should really say, is under that severe thunderstorm warning, but we're still watching this area of rotation around Greencastle. And of course, we've also got maybe some slight rotation just north of the city. Let's go back to reflectivity here. Let's keep it on reflectivity because right now it's not getting the best look at velocity here. So yeah, when you see some of those little notches, that's indicating where you may have a little bit of rotation here. So there could be some of that right around Bowling Green and still potentially around the Greencastle area as these storms are really moving fast. They're really moving fast towards the east and southeast. And you can see areas further to the south do not have a warning. We don't have a warning in effect for areas like Woodburn and even over there towards Rich Pond. So just south of Bowling Green, you're kind of on the fringe of this warning, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. So we're getting close to decision time on this tornado warning. We'll have to see if it is extended here, but the storm is passing through Greencastle, Bowling Green right now, especially the east side of town, although really all of Bowling Green right now getting engulfed by that really heavy rainfall, those very strong winds, 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. Again, please be in your safe zone here. We continue with that tornado warning that goes basically for the next 9 minutes here. The storms are really racing through northern parts of Logan County here. We're likely dealing with power outages. So hopefully if you're watching us on maybe your tablet or on your phone, that still has a pretty good charge if you've lost power, because that's one thing we always want to remind you. When the weather is nicer during a part of the day, that's a good time to charge up some of those electronic devices. So we're still monitoring this tornado warning until the winds are ripping outside. Let's get another look outside, Davis.
Yeah, we'll swap that over.
We can get back to
torrential
that.
downpours.
We still have this warning still in effect for Bowling Green right now, as we're dealing with some very strong winds out there, and you can kind of see the trees out there in the distance. At night, I mean, our camera kind of gets blurred a lot. This is a very good camera here, but I mean, it's hard to see much when you've got all of this this rain out here. We got the strobe light effect going with our lightning. Maybe pick up the Scottsville cam if you can. We can get back to that. We're starting to lose some signals on some of our cameras, so we're going to pull up our Scottsville road cam, and yeah, we are kind of see the.
You can see the sheets coming in.
Yeah, you can kind of see the lights shaking in the wind, but those winds are just continuing to pick up as the storm rolls on through central parts of Warren County. So these storms have a lot of wind and not a ton of hail. It's really just a wind energy that we are focused on, and we still do have that tornado warning in effect. So let's get right back to radar. We're tracking this potential tornado in northern parts of Warren County. There's nothing very distinct showing up on radar, but anytime you do have a warning in effect, you certainly do have the potential. The potential does exist, obviously, for a tornado to actually be down on the ground. It looks like we have now, I believe that's a flash flood warning in effect for northern Logan, as well as Butler counties here.
Yes. Yep. Logan and Butler, and that's until 1:45 a.m.
And if we go back into this, has this warning been taken off? Or is it still there?
It's so hard to tell. I'm going to take radar off
let's
just
take
for a
radar.
second.
Yeah,
here.
it looks like we still have it. Okay.
It is still there.
Just making sure. I mean, yeah, literally. I mean, you can kind of see the outline. So we still have that tornado warning in effect. Again, we may have some slight rotation just outside of Bowling Green. Let's really zoom into that area right there. Go back to the radar that you had before. I think you had just one scan there. So we're looking at this area. A little bit of a notch, maybe indicating some rotation in there, but the Weather Service right now, I mean, if that was significant enough, it's likely that they'll pull the trigger on another warning for the eastern part of the county. But we certainly have some rotation maybe in there just on the north side of Bowling Green as the storm continues to pass by. It's starting to approach. It is, approaching the one or the I-65 corridor here. Of course, here's 165 dealing with some of the worst of the weather right now, the heavy rain and very strong winds. But along 65 here, if you're thinking about maybe heading out and traveling on the interstate, I know folks will, but I advise against that. And it's not even just because we have a tornado warned storm nearby, but we've also got sheets of rain coming down and a strong crosswinds. And when you're driving and you get a strong crosswind, even if you have a low-profiled vehicle, I mean, you can lose control. And with the bigger vehicles, obviously, the taller they are, the more susceptible they are to possibly falling over, getting knocked over during a severe windstorm. So we, again, are monitoring this storm as it continues to move on in.
Sounds like we might have a little bit of hail outside.
Yeah, it sounds like we're getting some hail right now. So what is the warning? Does the warning mention hail size?
Let's take a look.
Because we definitely can hear. Certainly sounds like hail coming down at our station right now. Well, that's definitely hail.
I can go check and see.
Yeah, get a look outside really quick, and certainly hearing some hail because we've been talking about the wind, but haven't had a whole lot of big hail reports, but we are dealing with some hail right now as the storm continues to move on into Bowling Green. As a matter of fact, I'm going to hop over to radar here, and I'll look at the hail product that we have. We still do have that tornado warning in effect, so let's turn this off, and let's go to Ville here. That will give us an indication of potentially, if this will come up. Here we go. Yeah, so we're likely seeing a little bit of hail out there. Where you see the yellows, that's indicating maybe a little bit of hail. I mean, it sounds a lot bigger than it may actually be, but even over there into northern Logan County, you probably have some hail. The leading edge of the line is likely producing some areas of hail, and so I think that's what we're hearing on top of our rooftop here. Could certainly have some of that hail up there towards the Reedyville community as well. We're talking about hail maybe on the order of dime size, maybe a little bit larger than that. So going back to sweeping radar here, as we're kind of jumping all over the place, let's turn off a few radars. There we go. Only display nearest site. And you can see that I believe, we still have the tornado warning. That is still in effect, but we still have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect as well. So that warning continues for the next 5 minutes here. Did you collect any hail out there?
I did not collect it. It's actually pretty small.
Yeah.
I would say maybe pea dime size hail.
Okay.
Very, very small. I think we were just hearing it because of the type of roofing that we have. It might have
Yes.
sounded a little louder than what it was.
Sure,
but
yeah, we have like sheet metal on the roof, and so any little cling is going to sound a lot louder than it actually is. But we are getting reports of hail, and we heard it right on our rooftop here. So this tornado warning still continues, although it looks like the worst of the storm is now outside of Greencastle. The strongest winds now approaching I-65. I'm hoping that folks are not on the interstate, because even in heavy rain events, we hear about accidents taking place on the interstate just because of the amount of rain that's coming on down. So we've got that, and we've also got the wind. But it appears that, I mean, this tornado warning is about to expire here. I think the Weather Service is just going to let this expire. Let's zoom out the map a little bit more, Davis. We've got a pretty large, I mean, it's not the biggest severe thunderstorm warning polygon I've ever seen, but it's pretty large, and it's strictly for those strong winds. And it's across Allen, Barron, as well as Edmonson County, and all the way up into Hart County. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for winds maybe up to 60 miles per hour. You can see some of the stronger storms are starting to push now down into Tennessee. You can see an extensive area of tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings, I should say, just severe thunderstorm warnings in effect from Portland all the way to the west. That is into Tennessee. Right now, we still have very heavy rain across Christian, Todd, and Logan County, torrential rainfall. And we do have an update on a severe thunderstorm warning that is now across Logan, Simpson, as well as Warren County here. And this storm is now really some of the stronger winds are pushing into the Alvaton area and over there into far eastern Warren County. Let's get a closer look at the leading edge of this line here, so I can tell you some other locations that are in the way here. Woodburn, seeing some strong winds. I really think the strongest winds right now are over in this way here, in this area right here, as they're moving over there towards the community of Kepler. Mount Ariel as well. Again, Woodburn, torrential rain, very strong winds back there into Rockfield, Polkville, about to deal with some of those winds, maybe on the order of 60 miles per hour. So that latest warning that just popped up, the severe thunderstorm warning, what does it say, Davis?
There we go. It's calling for 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. And, that is the same storm that just moved through here in Bowling Green, and we can confirm there is some hail associated with it. We didn't quite have quarter-size, but nonetheless, nothing you want to be outdoors in, and that is in effect until 11:15, so for about the next 30 minutes.
Okay, and let's zoom the map out. So we got 1 minute to be exact left on that tornado warning. Nothing's been extended. That doesn't mean that we're not going to see another tornado warning from it, but it looks like this warning is about to give up here, which is good news. You can see that we are tracking some pretty large areas of severe thunderstorm warnings from Hart County all the way down to the Tennessee line here, much of northern Tennessee, from Portland over to Clarksville under a severe thunderstorm warning. We're getting flooding rains. That's going to be really the issue in some of these areas, although things getting a little bit better into Muhlenberg County, Hopkins County, over there into Ohio County, as really the worst of the rain is now to your south. But the flooding threat is certainly up there into Christian, Todd, as well as Logan County. You can see that tornado warning has now expired, which is obviously a good news. But we're watching this part of the line right here. This is kind of the meaty part with some of those really strong winds across the south central Kentucky as the storms now move into Allen, Barron, and into eastern parts of Edmonson County and Hart County.
David, there is an update. They did modify the severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for portions of Warren County. They are well, in effect for Allen, Edmondson, Logan, Simpson, and Warren. 60-mile-an-hour winds, not quite quarter-size hail, but they have attached a tornado possible tag with that instead of continuing with a tornado warning, and that is in effect until 11 p.m.
So, yeah, and that's likely because of this line of storms. I mean, you can kind of see how it extends almost like a reverse L here, and it's just an unusual shape. But when this part of the line continues to really rapidly move towards the east, sometimes you can get these little notches that form, and that's where you can get maybe a brief spin up. So they issue the tornado warning, but they mention tornadoes are possible. It's just so we don't overuse the tornado warnings, because if tornado warnings are overused, then folks won't take them as serious. So they add that tagline saying tornadoes are possible. Davis, if you go over to Facebook, have you received any pictures or reports from viewers? I mean, you can look at that for just a little bit. I'll give everyone, obviously, another update here. If you're just tuning in right now, we continue to monitor a pretty large complex of storms that is moving across the area. And we've got those severe thunderstorm warnings from Hart County through Barron County, Allen County, as well as really much of the viewing area. Simpson County, Warren County, we still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect as we're dealing with some strong winds out on the leading edge of this line of storms that extends all the way through Logan, Todd, and Christian counties, and where the storms, the leading edge of the storms, that's where we're likely getting winds on the order of 60 miles per hour. Of course, we had tree damage earlier today from some of those storms, and we're likely dealing with more downed trees. We've had a lot of power outages. Of course, the power outages have kind of accumulated from this morning. Some folks have been without power for many hours here, and we will continue to be left in the dark, unfortunately, maybe through part of the night. So hopefully, if you still have power, you don't end up losing power. Now, there's some places like Glasgow out there into Columbia, areas further to the east. I haven't even seen the storms yet, and now we are approaching 11 o'clock here. And I would say within the next 2 hours or so, that's when we're going to basically see the storms continue to expand to the east and eventually kick out of the viewing area. And the nice thing is, once we get into tomorrow, I mean, we've really paid our dues today with the severe weather. Tomorrow is looking pretty good. Now, I know, unfortunately, for some of you, it may involve just working on some of the tree damage and even structural damage around your property. Hopefully, you don't have too much of that to do, because we can actually kind of enjoy the weather tomorrow. We're looking at very limited rain chances as we go through the day, as the nasty storm system will be much farther to our east. Right now, we don't have any tornado warnings in effect. Thinking about what everyone might be asking right through their TV. Yeah, we don't have any tornado warnings in effect. But with this warning here that includes basically all of Hart County in through Glasgow, all the way down into Allen County, we do have the potential for maybe an isolated spin-up tornado within this line as it continues to rush towards the east. So in a way, you can still treat this as if there's the possibility of a tornado, but it's not a true tornado warning. So really the worst of the weather right now is pushing through Edmondson County over there towards Brownsville, Mammoth Cave National Park. We've got a lot of rain coming on down. It's flowing into some of those smaller streams. It's really filling them up. Flooding is going to be an issue over the next couple of hours here. It's dark outside. Some folks have to work the overnight shift or maybe getting in early because their business has a big sale maybe tomorrow for Memorial Day. Well, whatever you have to do, if you have to maybe go into work early or maybe over the next hour or so, then you just have to be very careful. And if you typically travel an area that is prone to flooding during heavy rain, you may want to avoid that, take an alternate route, try to get to work as safely as possible, because not everyone works the 9 to 5. As a matter of fact, nowadays, less and less people are working the 9 to 5. So we've got folks on the overnight. So we know that you have to travel, you have to work, you have to support your family. So if you are doing that over the next few hours, just be mindful that we will probably have areas of flooding out there. If you can delay things and your boss is lenient, especially if you're dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning, then that's obviously a good thing as well. But some areas further to the west and to the north, right now we don't really have any warnings per se in place, at least severe thunderstorm warnings, but we do have flood advisories, we do have flash flood warnings, and you can see the rain is really coming down. It's just interesting how some of the storms really moving to the south, some are moving more to the east, and they've all got kind of this big, large comma look to them as they continue to move towards the southeast here, and eventually we will kick this completely out of the area. You can see outside of the main broken line of storms here, towards the west and northwest, that's where we just have some moderate to heavy areas of rain. So you're essentially in the clear without being completely dry for places like Madisonville back into Muhlenberg County. Even Butler County, it's looking pretty good in terms of severe weather. We still have the risk for flooding, though. I want to keep that in mind. Ohio County, things looking pretty good. And even much of Grayson County, don't want to forget about you guys. You've seen some storm damage from earlier today. Certainly had some of those powerful storms push on through, but really the strongest storms right now continue to make their way across eastern parts of the area. You can also notice the storms ducking to the south, and it's always fascinating when you can see the actual boundary itself. That's what the storms are riding along. It's that cold pool that continues to keep them moving to the south. It just so happens this part of the complex is moving to the east. Now, in terms of tornado threat still out there, like we were saying before, this warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, still mentions the possibility of tornadoes. And I still think that's a potential risk for some areas over there towards the Lake Cumberland, if you're out there into Columbia, areas right along the Cumberland Parkway, or south, Monroe County, Cumberland County, and Clinton County. I would say over the next hour or so, you will be dealing with some of these very nasty storms as they continue to make the move through the area. But as of right now at 10:53, we do not have any tornado warnings in effect. We're still on air because we have a pretty strong storm system moving through, and we also have a severe thunderstorm warning that mentions the possibility of tornadoes. And when that's the case, we're still going to kind of treat it as if it is a tornado warning without it officially being a tornado warning, because if a tornado would drop from that line of storms, then obviously the Weather Service would issue a true tornado warning. But normally what happens is because the storm is racing, you can get some areas of rotation. You could maybe get what we refer to as a quick spin-up tornado, and they can certainly cause the same amount of damage as maybe some strong gusts of wind. So they're generally not going to be as impactful, but at the same time, there's still that risk there. So as we continue with our coverage here, we're watching the severe weather across areas just to the east of I-65. That's where we do have the warning in effect, and that includes really areas along and east of I-65. That's where we're starting to see the storms begin to move that way. So most of the storms have been west of 65, now east of 65. We're starting to see more of those nasty storms push on in over there into Scottsville, Glasgow. The storms are kind of knocking on your door. Munfordville right now, the storms are basically moving on in. I would assume that these warnings will likely be expanded out to include Metcalfe County, Greene County, as well as Monroe County. So we do have this large area of severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. It does actually still include Logan County, Simpson County, and Warren County. We do have the warning. How long do those warnings go for, Davis?
Those are in effect until it looks like 11:15. But I don't think, I mean, those are moving pretty fast. I think they might be out of there by a little bit before then, but the warning is in effect until 11:15 p.m.
Now, it appears that those storms farther to the south as they continue to move into Tennessee. I mean, it appears that they'll continue to move south, but sometimes you have an issue with storms like, well, they're still moving though. Sometimes it gets to a point where these storms really start to slow down as they move to the south, and then the flooding risk becomes a little bit bigger. But based on what I'm seeing here, again, this is the leading edge. That green line there, that's the leading edge of the cold air. So even if these storms would slow down, it's likely that the cold pool of air will advance far enough ahead of it to where it might start weakening some of these storms. But they're still packing a bit of a punch, and that's the reason why we do have the warning in effect for northern parts of Tennessee here. Still have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Munfordville. The storm's moving in as we speak. The winds are really increasing. Really, the winds are the main concern here now. I mean, we've just got a very, very large line of storms. I mean, it's kind of snaking its way through the area. No tornado warnings in effect, but there is the mention of a possible tornado within the severe thunderstorm warning that covers a good part of Hart County down into Barron County and Allen County. So the winds on the order of 50, 60 miles per hour can certainly toss around any of that patio furniture outside. Hopefully you did get a chance maybe earlier in the day to move some of that. Maybe it did get tipped over in your backyard from some of those earlier storms, and just an indication of how strong the winds were, and maybe that was a sign for you to possibly put some of that in a safe location. But if you didn't, you may be searching for some things tomorrow morning, as these storms, they've all been producing very strong winds. That's been one thing that's just been very similar across all of the storms that we've been facing, whether they've been individual storms or these nasty lines of storms. They've all been producing winds on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour. I'm starting to get an indication that we might be getting a little bit of a weakening with some of these storms down here, but at the same time, they're still moving very, very quickly to the south and to the east. So are you seeing any additional reports of storm damage, Davis, on Facebook or social media?
I wasn't seeing many pictures, but I am getting lots of reports of power out across, especially here in Bowling Green. We had the numbers of, it was a little over 8, let's see, WRECC reporting a little over 8,000 power outages, BGMU reporting 8.8 thousand power outages. So
yeah, and of course, some of that is also still combined with outages from this morning. We've likely had more trees down, more power lines down, and obviously it's tough to send in storm reports when it's at night. I mean, you're not going to venture outside to see if there's any damage in your backyard, and we don't want you to do that, that's for sure. We can wait until the morning to kind of assess some of the possible damage out there, but we know that the winds have been strong enough to certainly knock out power. So for part of the state, the worst of the weather is starting to push a little bit farther to the south here. Davis, if you can actually take off radar for a minute, I want to get an idea of all the warnings, because some of them are still kind of blending in here. So we've got flood warnings in effect. We still have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for all of Warren County, all the way down into Logan, Simpson County, Allen County, north into Hart County, Barron County. This warning continues really for the next 15 to 20 minutes here, and we're also watching this warning in effect for northern parts of Tennessee. Of course, that's outside of our viewing area. Folks down that way typically going to be tuning into Nashville for their storm coverage. But between the severe thunderstorm warnings and the flood advisories and warnings, we've got a lot of activity out there, but we are not dealing with any true tornado warnings right now. So these polygons, actually one just came off. That's good. As long as we see less color and less polygons, that's what we're looking for. So no longer are we dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning. That has been allowed to expire. We've just hit 11 o'clock, so the warning has now expired here in eastern, or western, I should say, Warren County, and really that does include Bowling Green. It's areas generally east of I-65 where we still have that warning in effect. and that includes places like Glasgow out there towards Tracy, Munfordville as well. We do have flood warnings in effect for northern parts of Logan County, Butler County, Ohio County, Muhlenberg County, as well as Hopkins County. We've got those warnings in effect until really 1:45 here, so over the next few hours. Obviously, even after the heaviest rain has stopped, creeks and streams continue to rise, and so there's that flood danger even after the worst of the storms have passed. We do have this severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 1:15. So we're getting there. We're getting close to the end of this stormy Sunday, but we're not quite there yet. So say over the next 1 to 2 hours, we'll continue to be dealing with these severe thunderstorm warnings as they expand towards the east. So that's the update on all of the warnings. They're pretty expansive, but right now it's more the flooding along with the wind that we are concerned with as these storms continue to make their way towards the east. So let's get another look at reflectivity here as we continue again with our coverage. We're now past 11 o'clock. We just want to make sure that everyone is safe out there. Here is a Glasgow, and maybe can we get the camera out there in Glasgow?
Yeah.
Or even in the Scottsville. Be interested to see how they look as these storms continue to work their way towards the east. Again, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning going for the next 13 minutes here until 11:15, and it's likely that we could see another warning issued for areas further to the east just because of the history of these storms here. So here again is Glasgow, the leading edge of the storms, about ready to push on in, and so those winds definitely picking up. Here's Scottsville. This is Scottsville out there right here in Allen County, and yeah, you can just see the streaks of rain and the trees just really whipping, and this is the reason why we had tree damage. This is the reason why you have down power lines, and of course we've just got the worst of the weather. Actually, we're timing out this image pretty well with the worst of the weather on radar as those storms continue to move on through. I'm sure based on this that we do have winds probably on the order of 45, even 50 miles per hour. This is in Scottsville in Allen County. The other day, parts of Allen County, specifically around Scottsville, had downed trees. We may be looking at more of those downed trees and power outages as we get into the evening. Okay. All right. Well, we are now going to send our coverage over to Meredith Scheimer. She's at the desk with some more updates on the storms that we are dealing with and some of the damage across the area.
Yes, well, thank you, David and Davis. You're doing a very good job with this coverage, and thank you for bringing us with us through this coverage that we're seeing. Give me a quick second while we talk about how the coverage has been. So, give me 1 second. We have some updates for you from what we've seen today. Emergency services responded to what was a possible water rescue at the end of Duncan Road. Warren County Emergency Management Deputy Director Travis Puckett confirmed to WBKO that it was not a water rescue. The Bowling Green Fire Department was on the scene Saturday evening to retrieve a vehicle that ended submerged in Middle Fork Drakes Creek, which is at the end of Duncan Road. Puckett said that water conditions are too dangerous to continue efforts in removing the vehicle, but that they will return when the water recedes. This is a developing story. And WBKO is also on the scene of a house fire on Plano Road in Bowling Green. Plano Fire Department Chief Kevin Bailey told us that they believe the house, which was unoccupied at the time, was hit by lightning. He said that while some things were salvaged, he considered it a total loss. And as we were talking about all night, the first round of storms earlier today hit many parts of the WBKO viewing area. Starting off in Warren County, WBKO's Adam Ferguson was out in the area catching some of the damage. KYTC said that every county in District 3 had crews responding to downed trees, debris in the roadway, flooded roads, and more. As of 10 tonight, WRECC's outage map reports a little over 1,300 customers without power. Their coverage spans across several counties, including Warren County. Bowling Green Municipal Utilities reported about 900 outages at that time. And our crew was also over in Logan County, where much of the storm's damage was seen in Russellville. City Hall's roof was severely damaged. Judge Executive Phil Baker and Russellville Fire Department confirmed to WBKO that the cow's siren on top of the building was damaged and is non-functional. They declared this was a county emergency. KYTC reported this morning that Logan and Todd counties were hit the hardest. Much like the Warren County, they saw downed power lines and trees, flooded roads, and other roadway debris. And we have another look at the damage today's severe weather has caused. Our viewers have been submitting photos and videos to us as the day progresses. Again, the first round of storms had a particularly messy impact, leaving roads, backyards, and buildings covered with debris and fallen trees. This is in addition to power outages and damaged traffic signals. Governor Andy Beshear released a Facebook video saying that at least 5 counties in the state have declared it an emergency. He is warning everyone to be weather aware for the next round of storms. There has been one reported death in Louisville. Louisville Metro Police said officers were called to a road near Anchorage after a man was hit by a tree. He died before first responders could get him to the hospital, and the homicide unit is conducting a death investigation.
You want to have a plan for what you're going to do if you lose power, if you don't have self-service, if you have medications you need to get refilled, or like a medical device that requires electricity. What's your backup plan if that goes away?
That was Emma Fay, who says if any alerts become available, whether it's a warning or a watch, it's important to take action in your plan and move to the lowest level of the building you're in. WBKO's First Alert Weather Team is keeping us updated on the latest information. Now, we have a list of shelters in our viewing area. If you go to our website and search storm shelter locations in the Soki area, they will include an updated list of shelters in Warren, Barron, Allen, Metcalfe, Muhlenberg, and Ohio counties. We're going to head back to First Alert Chief Meteorologist David Walter and Davis Wells for the latest on this storm track.
All right, we are jumping right back into our coverage here, and we are looking at Max Storm. Thank you, Meredith, for those updates. Of course, we have been monitoring these storms really throughout the course of the day. We had a little bit of a break during the afternoon, and then the storms fired off again. One thing I've noticed that is good news is that I think we've had some weakening down this way into parts of Tennessee. It looks like the cold air is starting to outrun the storms here. But just like that, we have now seen another warning issued for much of the far eastern parts of the viewing area here. You can see we do have that warning in effect for Greene County, also Metcalfe County, down into parts of Monroe County. We continue to deal with those potential winds up to 60 miles per hour. I mean, obviously, these winds have been that powerful, and that's the reason why the warning continues for areas further to the east here. And so places like Munfordville, the winds are probably starting to settle down a little bit for you, but the worst of the storm right now is actually pushing through Glasgow. So, Davis, if we can potentially get our Glasgow cam, if it's working, can we get our Glasgow cam up on the screen here to get an idea of what we are dealing with? And then after that, yeah, we're really working hard today for you. After that, can you get up the Mesonet to see what some of the stronger wind gusts have been? But we are watching the latest severe thunderstorm warning here. The storm itself is starting to move on through Glasgow, and it's likely we've got probably winds on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour, at least out that way. Yeah, you can see the trees really moving here. A lot of these images, even the videos, don't always do these storms enough justice, but this is starting to push on into Glasgow right now. And right now at the courthouse, it just appears that, yeah, those winds are just continuing to increase, and we could be dealing with more downed trees, more power outages as these storms are advancing towards the east here. So Areas further to the south in like Scottsville over there in the Simpson County, conditions actually probably improving a little bit. You still have the gusty winds, but that part of the system is actually starting to weaken a bit, which is really, really good news. This line right here, the line that extends more to the north, still has a good amount of motion on it, still a good amount of structure associated with this line. You can see the storms further to the west. They're starting to become a little bit more raggedy, and that's because the cold air is starting to outrun them. And when that happens, when there's too much cold air taking over, storms don't like that, and they start to weaken. So that's what we're kind of seeing here. But with this line of storms, I mean, it's still pretty well intact. So over there in the community of Center, over towards Glasgow, and also into Edmonton, get ready for some pretty wicked winds. So do we have any updates on those wind reports potentially across the area as we get another look at our Glasgow cam?
Yeah, we can get like 3 on here. We do have the emergency management from Bowling Green Police Department. We're being told that there's multiple reports of power lines down in the Bowling Green area. Reported major transmission line fell on 3 vehicles on the side of the road parallel to the 23-mile marker of I-65. So those storms that were just in that area are now starting to push into portions of over near Glasgow, up through Munfordville,
Glasgow and Barron and Hart County really dealing with the heat of the storms right now, unfortunately, and they're starting to move in the Greene and Metcalfe counties.
So I'm looking at
look at the camera out there. Let's pull up the camera. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, you're good.
Let's pull up the camera in Glasgow right now. This is really giving us a good idea of just how fierce those winds are. And I know you're going to see the raindrops showing up as well, so it's not going to be the greatest look here, but yeah, I mean, just look at this. I mean, streaks of rain. It's like almost like horizontal rain moving down the road there, and obviously the camera's a little obscured here. You got those vivid flashes of lightning, and so those winds are just ripping through Glasgow right now, and we will likely be facing some power outages. It still appears that the power's on around the courthouse. Obviously, we got the lights there, but that could certainly be changing for other folks here. I mean, we've got an extensive amount of power outages, and it's just because, I mean, these storms are producing some wicked winds. I mean, there's somebody out there driving. I mean, it's a little difficult to do in these kind of conditions. Please be extra cautious if you are out there. Anyways, Davis, I'll let you get back to those reports.
Yes. So the highest wind gust that we have right now, we still are, the leader was 71 miles an hour. That was out in Muhlenberg County. That is now way past out of that storm, or out of that area, I should say. We had a 62 mile an hour wind gust in 6 miles northeast of Bowling Green in Warren County. So that's going to be this storm that is starting to push through, and likely what caused some of those power lines to come down throughout the area, as well as that transmission line. Certainly not a good situation.
And there's certainly a chance, because there was a tornado warning associated with that the Weather Service may investigate that area to see if that actually was potentially tornado damage.
Very well could be. It'd be a weaker tornado, but if it went directly over the station, the likelihood of that, though, not necessarily up there. It could have been anywhere, but nonetheless, very strong winds have been out there tonight. We had a 48 mile an hour wind gust in Barron County in Glasgow, which is actually the camera that you are seeing right now on your screen, side by side with radar. Let me actually move that camera over just so you can kind of see as that storm is pushing off in through Glasgow, I should say, and rather powerful. It does look like the power is still on, though, there, which is a good sign. But we continue to get just very strong winds with these storms, and that's kind of what we were anticipating. Was this going to be, a more wind-driven event as it went on, and it would speed up and eventually be moving through the area, and the good news is I don't think we have too much longer of this. If we look at maybe just the big picture, we'll zoom out just to show people. We're really looking at the main line here, the leading edge, going from Bardstown down through Munfordville, and then down towards now officially crossing into Tennessee. The areas behind it's not going to be as windy with that. We'll still have some rainfall, maybe an occasional rumble of thunder and lightning, but you notice really the only severe thunderstorms we have, the severe thunderstorm warnings, are on the eastern side of that leading edge, as you see that more heavier rainfall as it's continuing to push off to the east.
Yeah, it's just interesting watching the evolution of like weather and meteorology when you're tracking these storms for hours on. And one thing I was mentioning before, I mean, this part right here is falling apart because the cold air is rushing out ahead of it. The storm system now has a lot of energy shifting these storms to the east. So these are certainly still packing quite a punch here. I mean, we're likely dealing with 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts around the Glasgow community. Let's zoom in a little bit more, Davis. Get close to like the Barron County, Metcalfe County line. This is the Cumberland Parkway between Edmonton and Glasgow here, and winds are definitely picking up in Edmonton. The Beaumont community, we'll start seeing some of those fierce winds here soon. Temple Hill winds are likely in excess of 40, 50 miles per hour. The community of Center certainly dealing with those powerful winds. But if you're anywhere in this general area across Metcalfe, Greene County, all the way down to Allen, Monroe, even down to Cumberland counties, we do have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect because this is really the strongest part of the storm system. You can see from Glasgow up to Goodnight. Yeah, it's a rather noisy night as we continue to deal with these storms. I know they're keeping folks up for an extended period of time. For a lot of folks, I know you're off tomorrow, so you may get a chance to sleep in if the kids don't wake you up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But at the same time, I know a lot of folks still have to go to work, so you may be a little drained tomorrow because we are dealing with these storms, unfortunately. But I can tell you, if you've been trying to plan out activities over the course of the Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully you took advantage of yesterday. If you couldn't take advantage of yesterday, you obviously didn't have a good opportunity today. Tomorrow is looking pretty good. So tomorrow will be a good opportunity to dry things out. As a matter of fact, just to continue to try to bear some good news with everything we've dealt with as of late. Looking ahead, that extended outlook looks pretty nice. We may see our next chance for rain all the way into the weekend, so we will certainly have a chance to dry things out here. So what we're watching right now, if you're just tuning into our coverage, we're coming up on 11:17 right now, and we really just have one very large severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and it's this right here. We do have some flood advisory, flood warnings out there into Butler County, and really a lot of areas west and northwest of Bowling Green. We do have some sort of flash flood warning in effect. We likely really have flooding across a good part of the area just because the soil is so saturated. But you can see into Munfordville that we continue to see the storm just pass by. No longer a warning for you guys, but certainly some torrential rainfall in play there. Columbia, you still have a little time. Let's put one of those. Can we put a tracker on this line here? Like, how fast is it moving?
So it is. I mean, it's booking. It is going east at a 55 miles an hour. So I think what I'll do is I'll do this in two different segments here. We'll kind of split it with the warning. So that way we can maybe get a few more cities on there. So as I drag this down, and we're looking at 55 miles an hour. Let me adjust that. There we go. Alrighty. We drag this down and we'll kind of, I might need to move south just a touch more. Gotta love technology, right? If we draw this out here and we'll move it down, it's got a slight southeast component to it, so we'll keep it there. So kind of a estimated time for arrival for these cities. Right now over at Greensburg, heading in towards Summer Shade in the next few minutes. Mount Gilead at 11:29, Cane Valley 11:32, Columbia 11:37, Burkesville 11:44. It's been pretty quiet out there for you guys for today, other than those morning round storms. But you had some sunshine, and now these storms are pushing into your area just about a quarter hour before midnight, and then eventually into Bryan and Russell Springs.
And I'm surprised that for some reason Edmonton didn't show up on that, but Edmonton, you guys are basically, the storms are knocking on your door right there in central Metcalfe County. So you can see even all the way out to Burkesville. I mean, we're talking about the next 25 minutes here. So again, these storms continue to gain speed, which obviously will kick them out of the area quicker. But if you have a storm moving at 55 miles per hour, it has that potential to produce winds up to 55 miles per hour, if not stronger here. So we obviously want to be inside. Most folks, I assume, are inside, but I know some may have to travel for work here shortly. And if you can kind of hold things off, let the storms pass on by, that's a better way to go about it. But you definitely have a little bit of time for some spots, even like Columbia all the way down to Burkesville. But these storms, again, they're moving at 55 miles per hour, and this is really the strongest part of this storm system that we're dealing with right now. This is where we've had the history of winds in excess of 50, 60, up to 70 miles per hour. And of course, those have been pretty isolated, but at the same time, we are continuing to deal with power outages, and we're likely to have some more of those outages as the storms now making their way into Edmonton, into a central part of Metcalfe County. Center, the winds are certainly howling for you. I know we have that camera out there in Edmonton. If we can maybe get that up here in just a few moments as the storms continue to make their way into central Metcalfe County. And again, you can see how quickly this went from Glasgow to Edmonton. I mean, it's really flying at a pretty high rate of speed, and that's the reason why those strong damaging winds are going to be the main concern. Still have maybe a little bit of hail. Really not seeing much on the tornado threat, but there's still the chance as these storms, I mean, the main line is generally moving at one speed, but sometimes you get little extra areas of rotation within the main line, and that's where you can get some of those quick spin-ups here. So here's Edmonton. Here's Beachview right here, or Beachville, I should say. So the storms are kind of knocking on your door there. So winds are expected to pick up pretty quickly here in Edmonton. And we are down by the law enforcement here in Edmonton. And right now you can really see the lightning out there in the distance. And the storm is pretty close. I mean, a couple of minutes. And this will be a very different scene as the strong winds, strong, almost violent winds move on in, and we'll likely have more of those power outages here shortly. But how many power outages do we have really across the viewing area right now?
Let's take a look here.
And of course, those will continue to increase.
It's been kind of an all-day thing, unfortunately. We'll start with our easternmost counties and kind of work our way west. Barron County, we've got about 1,200 people without power. Allen County, 1,500. Warren County, wow, that's pretty high. 14,000 of the 64, so that's approaching about a quarter of the county without power. Edmonson County, 355. Grayson County, 391. Hart County, 152. And then as we track a little bit further off to the west, Ohio County, about 1,800 without power. Butler County, just shy of 3,900, almost half of the county without power there. Simpson County, 1,200 without power of almost 5,000, so still a pretty good number there. Logan County, 3,500 without power. Muhlenberg appears to be, if we're looking at all of the counties around, Muhlenberg seems to have probably the most outages, at least in regards to the number of people that live within the county. Nearly 14,000 700 people without power of the 17,300 that live in the county. So that is nearly all of the entire county without power. And if I remember correctly, I believe, yeah, Muhlenberg County was where we had that wind gust of 71 miles an hour. So, I mean, certainly, when you get winds that strong, it's certainly very possible to lose power, and we hope that we know that the power crews will be working very diligently, especially after this rain pushes out, and we do have some very enjoyable, much enjoyable weather for the next, really the week, and they'll be working to get that restored, and things will be much drier throughout the night, or throughout the week, I should say. We're forecasting sunshine for, I know we haven't really had the 7-day up, but we have sunshine in play for, we'll start off mostly cloudy for tomorrow, turning sunny. Tuesday, we stay sunny. Wednesday, partly sunny. Thursday, mostly sunny. Friday, mostly sunny. And we're not really expecting any sort of rain. Memorial Day looks great. Again, just maybe a morning shower. Other than that, we stay, temperatures will be a little bit cooler, maybe in the middle 50s for morning lows, maybe pushing 60. And then high temperatures will start off in the low 80s, but then we'll finish out the week in the middle to upper 70s with much drier air, I should say. So very much less humidity, and there won't be enough moisture for many storms to develop. So we'll really have, when I say enjoyable week, it will be a much needed week after just the several weeks we've had with storms and rain and now, severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings. I think we really, really need this break. So I'm happy to have that in the forecast. Next chances of rain don't seem to push in until next weekend.
Yeah, in the meantime, we're getting close to the end. The finish line is certainly here, or getting pretty close, but for some folks, we're still waiting things out in Columbia as the storms are moving into Adair County, pushing in through Metcalfe County. We see that we've got some pretty strong winds out your way, and also into Monroe County, dealing with those strong, powerful winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. Here's Cumberland County, and again, here is Adair County. Really, the greatest threat that we've been dealing with over the last couple of hours have been those strong, damaging winds. Right now, we continue with our coverage on air and on the website, along with Facebook. We are approaching 11:30 here, and just really waiting for the storms to almost completely clear the viewing area here. And we've got about another 15 minutes here.
Give or take, yeah.
For these warnings. And here's a live look outside in Edmonton right now.
Ooh.
And you can certainly see that we've got a lot of electricity in the air, a lot of lightning out there, but these storms have been producing and damaging wind gusts on the order of 50, 60 miles per hour. They've been pretty widespread. We've had a lot of damage reports, a lot of power outages across the area, and these storms are still, maintaining a lot of intensity. Part of the line is kind of broken down, but this line that's moving through eastern parts of the area continues to pack quite a punch here, and so we've got probably some more power outages to come as the storms are now really moving into Metcalfe County. There you go. The power's knocked out in Edmonton. You kind of saw that live here as we lost power in Edmonton as the leading edge of the storms now moving into town. So we got more power outages, and yeah, that looked like a pretty big power shutdown there. So we're completely dark out over at least this part of Edmonton, which is near the central part of the city. So more power outages being reported live on our cameras here. So no more power in at least this part of Edmonton out there into Metcalfe County with those strong damaging winds on the order of 50, 60, even up to 70 miles per hour here.
I'm shocked we still have our camera.
Yeah, the fact, that we lost power and yet the camera is still operating right now. Yeah, that is a little ironic, but you can certainly see this is down by the police station there. So that's what you're seeing, the vehicles that are lit up. Those are part of the Metcalfe County Police there and part of the Edmonton City Police. So we've got some power outages in part of Metcalfe County.
You know, I think before just the power had gone out, it was like right when you were walking back on screen there, I thought I saw a weird colored glow kind of off in the distance. I thought maybe it was like a power flash, maybe from the wind. And, you know, sure enough, I mean, 30 seconds later, power went out. And I mean, that was, you know, there's looks like there's one light on, and I don't even know what that's to. But nonetheless, power is out in Edmonton. Let me check Kentucky Mesonet to see if we have maybe a wind gust out of there to see.
So again, you can just tell in the pure strength of these winds. I mean, you don't have to have tornadoes to cause widespread power outages. You just need these strong 50, 60 mile an hour winds to cause power outages and also damage. I mean, we've had a lot of strong straight line winds move through, causing not only power outages but down trees. We've had down power lines, which of course leading to more of those power outages. But the heaviest part of the storm moving through Edmonton and continuing over there into Columbia, parts of Adair County, but about ready to push into Cumberland County. So heads up for you in Burkesville as the storms are bolting towards the east. You can see another warning just outside of our area in Campbellsville, Taylor County, under a new severe thunderstorm warning. No tornado warnings, but still these storms have the potential to produce tornadoes as they move to the east, and you get those brief spin-ups here.
I want to pull up this. I don't know what kind of battery we have on our cameras here, but just to show you, this is the view in Bowling Green on Scottsville Road. So I guess it doesn't really matter where the radar's at here, but most of Scottsville Road is without power. Traffic lights down. There looks like there's a little bit of power. We're getting some big thunder here at the station. But nonetheless, I guess this is a good reminder with as busy as Scottsville Road is, if you are out and really, I mean, unless you're going to work, there's really no need to be out right now as these storms still are, pushing through the area. We got rainfall, flooded roadways, power outages. Be sure to treat any traffic stops, four-way stops during this, because, there's not really any sort of guidance out there, and you want to make sure you are making your way safely out and about, and while crews work to restore. But yeah, I'm shocked this camera is even up. Looks like there's trying to see if you can notice anything off in the distance. I mean, there's still lightning for sure. That is present as those storms continue to push off to the east and making their way almost out of our viewing area. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close. I mean, we'll continue with our on-air coverage until basically this latest warning has been allowed to expire. We'll let you know any of the updated warnings, and we'll end our coverage after this. But obviously, based on what we're seeing outside with power outages across the area, I mean, these are very strong winds that we are dealing with, and we've caught some power outages on several of our cameras that even still have power somehow. Edmonton, I mean, downtown is fairly dark. Out there in Scottsville Road, also fairly dark. Looks like Scottsville, at least downtown, still has power, but we are certainly without it across portions of the area, and we're likely going to be dealing with a mess when it comes to down trees and power lines, and maybe even some small structural damage. But we've had reports of winds maybe in excess of 65, 70 miles per hour near Bowling Green. We did have that tornado warning it seems like a couple hours ago now, but realistically it was just about an hour or so ago. And maybe the Weather Service checks out that area to see if it was, in fact, a tornado damage. But we'll continue to get more reports in. It being dark outside, we're not going to get a ton of visuals when it's dark and still raining out there. But you can see with our storms as we continue to track them, I mean, this part is holding together, hence the reason why we still have the large severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Tompkinsville. You're probably dealing with the gusty winds. You're kind of like right on the apex of the weaker part of this storm system and the stronger part as it continues to make its move towards the east here. But I mean, with the general motion, I mean, being about 55, 60 miles per hour, I mean, I would expect more power outages over there into Columbia, potentially into Tompkinsville, and heads up in Burkesville because the storms are coming your way. But again, we're getting towards the end of our severe weather coverage here as the storms are really kind of on the fringe eastern part of the viewing area. But I know we got some folks out there in Russell and Clinton counties, and as long as we maybe just have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, we'll obviously let you know the threats, but then we'll likely wrap up our on-air coverage and maybe still continue with our coverage on Facebook Live so you can get some updates there, because I know folks farther to the east still watch on Facebook and also on our live stream here. But we're gonna stay with this warning as long as it does continue, as it continues to the storm system continues to move towards the east, and certainly producing a lot of widespread power outages for parts of the area. And this is really, again, the main part of the complex that we're watching as it's maintaining its structure pretty well. The cold air is not rushing too far ahead of it, and so that's the reason why it's able to produce those strong damaging winds as it continues over towards the east. And again, this is approaching Columbia here, and we'll be moving into Burkesville here shortly. Just kind of looking at our cams. So we've got a camera in Columbia, and the winds are certainly increasing there. Still, obviously, looks like we may even have, maybe not, it's hard to tell in Russellville. Thought we had more power outages there. Got a lot of lightning. We're dealing with the lightning strikes. Here is Adair County, Columbia. I mean, things are pretty dry, but we can still. Oh, I thought you ended up pulling it. Can you pull up?
Yep. I'm going to pull it up and throw it there so everyone can see that.
There we go.
This is in looking towards. I believe that's their courthouse, correct?
Yes, this is the courthouse in Columbia in Adair County.
So winds are certainly going there. And take this as a heads up. If you are in Columbia, we just saw the power go out from storms as the storm was passing through, portions just off to the west. So if you're in Columbia, even areas just further to the east here, take this as your heads up. Like, power could be going out within the next 5-10 minutes. So if you haven't been charging your devices, maybe give them a quick charge, just because we don't know how long the power will be out. There is several power outages throughout the entire viewing area, and crews will be working quite hard to get all that restored. But of course, that takes time, and they will have quite the road ahead of them to get everything repaired and back up to 100%. But yes, please take this as your heads up now for Columbia. In fact, since this is almost to the leading edge of our viewing area, we'll do kind of maybe like one last track as it's starting to make its way here. And this is pushing off still to the east at 55. So that's, the speed has not changed, but just to kind of get some of those communities along here. Again,
it's still holding together for some pretty decent structure. Again, the storm's moving south, closer to, well, the storms, they're expanding into Tennessee from the north, and those are kind of falling apart, but those storms associated with the warning, they still have a pretty good look to them.
Yeah, so here's just a few communities. This doesn't necessarily, because it's such a large area, it won't list every single individual community here. But just if you live near these areas, keep in mind you might have some power outages coming your way. We'll go maybe up through 12:45-ish. So Casey Creek, 11:41 here in the next few minutes. Burkesville, 11:44. Russell Springs at 11:52. And then making its way further off to the east after that. So if you live anywhere in those immediate communities that are approaching, the storm that's approaching, rather, you will could have some power outages coming. Because again, like we said, as we were live with it, we had the cameras up and we saw the power go out right as we were on air. So it's something, if you haven't prepared yet, you probably should do it now, just to make sure you have your phones charged, devices charged, things like that. Maybe finding the flashlight before the power officially goes out.
Yeah, and of course, in addition to the strong winds, we're also dealing with heavy rain. There's still multiple flash flood warnings that are in effect that will continue for the next couple of hours here. And if we kind of zoom out Max storm here a little bit. Well, actually, before we get to that, yeah, you can see
the winds
storm,
are picking up.
Yeah,
significantly.
the storm moving into Columbia in Adair County. This is how quickly the weather conditions have been changing as we see that large semi drive on through. The winds start picking up rapidly once you get the true leading edge of the storms to move on in. And right now, I mean, you can really see those flags in the foreground, the American flag there. That is, that is ripping through some pretty good wind. I mean, it has to be at least, I would say, gusting 40 or 45 miles per hour. So we were probably looking at some more power outages in the parts of Adair County. Again, we're getting to the eastern part of our viewing area here.
Even the pole of the flag, the flagpole itself is...
It's a bit like being yanked by the wind.
Yeah, it is being tested there for sure.
So, I mean, this tells you just the true power of the wind here. And we'll probably continue to see more of those power outages across like eastern parts of the area. I mean, with winds like that, I mean, these are pretty fierce winds, and it tells a lot when you're looking at a live webcam and you're getting horizontal streaks of rain down the roadway as winds are likely gusting on order of 45 to 50 miles per hour. I'm sure it's very, very difficult for those drivers. I advise you, when you start to deal with winds like this, it's always best just to pull off to the side of the road and let the storms pass on by.
Or stay home if you're able to.
Or stay home, yeah, if you're able to. But still got the power there. That could certainly change any second here as the worst of the storms continue to make their way through the area. The severe thunderstorm warning continues here we'll probably get another update here in about 3 minutes here, and then we'll likely come to an end of our coverage, at least on air. We're going to end our on-air coverage, but we will at least continue maybe to kind of officially wrap things up on Facebook Live and on our live stream on the web. So again, you can just see how fierce these winds are as this storm makes its move through central Adair County. We're down by getting a look out by the courthouse. We were looking out at the courthouse, but you can see the storms making the move towards the east here. We're sitting at 1142.